Hello and welcome to the Happy, Healthy, Strong podcast. This is a podcast dedicated to helping you live a happier, healthier, and stronger life. Building a life that you love starts with you owning your health and intentionally creating the best version of yourself. So if you're looking to better understand how proper nutrition, daily movement, mindset work, and strength training can help you create a life full of happiness and health, then you are in the right place. I generally hope that the tips, tricks, and information that we share will be the catalyst for change. I'm your host, Adam Lane. It's time to dive in. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to another episode of the Happy, Healthy, Strong podcast. I'm your host, Adam Lane. With me, Coach Kyle.
How's it going?
Episode, how many have you been on?
I think this is 5.
5?
I think.
Okay. They've added up. They've stacked up.
They have a year and a half.
Yeah. Look at this. Kyle, this is gonna be a controversial one. Because this is
Not for me.
So, why CrossFit is bad? I just named that. Just came up. There's the name right there. Throw the hate. All the hate will come right now.
Yeah, where you want to start?
Why CrossFit is bad?
Well, there's a lot of things that.
Let me start here.
Yeah.
We were a CrossFit gym for a long time.
Okay.
We started in 2012. This CrossFit thing was a thing. I'd been working out at CrossFit Rockford with Dan. He was absolutely fantastic. Of course, I was 31 at the time. And you know what you can do at 31? A lot of things.
I am 31.
Knees didn't hurt, back didn't hurt, shoulders didn't hurt. Married, no kids. There was just flying high, doing the triathlon thing, feeling fantastic. Dogs were great. Mm-hmm. Life was good. We trained hard, and I had lifted weights before. This was not new to me. Mm-hmm. With football and baseball back in the high school days, and even in college, and then lifted a little bit with the triathlon thing, but very much prioritized the cardiovascular cardio piece of swimming, biking, and running, and got a little extra whatever lifting in when I could, just to try to fill gaps. But I didn't really know what I was doing. I shouldn't say not know what I was doing. There was no plan with that. It was just like, oh, it rained, I can't go bike, I guess I'll go squat in the garage or something like that, or go to the YMCA or whatever it might be. Mm-hmm. And so anyway, opened CrossFit Roscoe in 2012 in Roscoe. And we were there for 5 years, and then moved down here to Loves Park. And in 2020, we de-affiliated for the reasons we're about to go through right now. However, to be clear, CrossFit is the only reason why we're here right now. If not for CrossFit, we wouldn't be having this conversation.
Thanks, CrossFit.
This gym would not be here. Yeah. It would not be a thing. So I no longer align with the methodology. There's some pieces I really like. Yeah. And maybe we start with that.
Start with pros?
Let's start with the pros of CrossFit.
I would say first, the biggest thing would probably be the community.
Yeah.
Just like meeting like-minded friends. Yeah. That's the only reason I ever went to a few more classes. Yeah. I was like, oh, I like that coach, or I like those people, and I go and hang out. Yeah. And I still hang out. Yeah. And before that, you had a lot of people that would, they'd go to the bro gym, and do their own thing, but people would be separate, and you might see people, but you give them the nod. Yeah. Yeah.
There wasn't really back in 1999 when it started. Somewhere around there.
CrossFit started in 99.
It was underground. This is like Glassman was doing stuff out of, a garage type thing, trying to put things together and stuff like that. But there wasn't the Orange Theories and stuff like that. There wasn't this groupie fit curves. There was curves.
That's right.
Which blew up because women loved working out with each other. At this very women centric, gym. I don't even know what happened to curves. Is that's still a thing anymore?
Good question.
No idea. But no, the community. Yeah. I love and then you pop in. We'll popcorn this until we run out of pros here. I actually love that it got the barbell into the hands of people that would probably never lift weights. Yeah. Where you have people deadlifting, and you have people squatting, and you have people pressing and benching, barbell rowing that, 50-year-old people 20 years ago didn't do that stuff. Yeah. And not only were they squatting, but they were squatting to depth. They were pushing that. You can go too low. Yeah. And you can have some issues there. And that's where I think there might be some holes, but CrossFit got a barbell in people's hands, and got people lifting weights. It got girls lifting weights.
I was going to say, it got women lifting weights a lot more than you'd ever seen before.
Yes.
And heavyweights.
Legit heavyweights. I don't think anybody, and it really helped. It helped Olympic lifting and helped powerlifting because those sports barely existed before. They existed. They were around, but
you need a background in both of those to be good at CrossFit.
Absolutely.
Which is part of the problem.
Yeah. You need to be strong and insanely athletic.
Yeah. But right along with the community would be the accountability.
Yeah.
Right there. That is being able to go in there and see your friends and they know if you're dogging it.
Yeah.
And they can also help with other lifts too, which is nice within the community. You guys are doing the same workout that day. Yeah. So you can ask your friend how they got a hang of it.
Yeah. Yeah. I love that they were able to come out, and this is one of the reasons it really sold me initially, is that they actually had a definition of fitness, and they were able to and if you looked at the CrossFit Games, the broad time and modal domains and whatnot, you had times where you lifted very heavy and created a huge power output, and then other times where you had to put this power output over a 20-minute event or a 40-minute event or an hour event. And obviously your power would decrease, but you could graph that. You could, if your clean and jerk was huge, okay, but then we graphed this, but then we ran a 10K, but you were super slow, lower power, we create a graph. And then I would do the same. Hey, my clean and jerk is not as much, but I was faster, so my curve looked a little bit different. And then really you're able to look at the area under the curve, and then we have, hey, who's fitter? Hey, who's there? Because we're going to compare longer distances. We're going to compare shorter distances. We're going to be, heavy and hard, light and fast, and everywhere in between, and again, different modalities and different implements doing different movements, over different day. And this is so interesting. And I compared it to my triathlon stuff because there were times where I would smoke people out of the water, but then they would fly by me on the bike. I was standing still. And so it's oh, well, hey, I'm a better swimmer, but they're a better biker. And the bike is a bigger chunk than what the swim is in most triathlons. And so might get beat that day or whatever it might be. And so everybody's a little bit different with that, but that really appealed to me in the way of, hey, we're not trying to be a master of any one thing, which is attractive to me. Cause the general fitness thing,
when you have the variety, you find places in your fitness that you're missing it. You're oh, that is really tight. Yeah. I have to work on that. Yeah. When you do the same movements all the time, you don't feel that.
Correct. And I think it's great where you can have the super strong person who is not mobile at all. They really, 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 really need to stretch. Yep. But then you might have the yogi, that is extremely flexible, but insanely weak, and needs to get stronger. Yeah. They probably don't need to stretch, and they go right.
They're fine.
Yeah, you can identify those differences because CrossFit really entails all of that stuff.
Yep. Mm-hmm. I would say that honestly, a lot of people, when they go into lifting, they don't have, a lot of times they'll avoid either the muscle or the cardio.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
So that is great. CrossFit,
whatever they hate.
Yes, exactly. So it is nice that they make you do a little bit of everything in that sense. Yeah. But also with CrossFit, you do get some coaching. Yeah. Which is a pro. Mm-hmm. If you're a newbie, that's not where I would start. But some coaching is better than none. Yeah. Honestly, no matter how new you are.
Yeah. Well, and if you were to dial back to 12 years ago, we had YouTube, but it wasn't like it is now where if you really don't know how to, barbell snatch, you could type in how to barbell snatch and there's a billion videos on it, and good videos, really, really, really good content. Mm-hmm. And you dial back 10 years before that when there was none of the YouTube thing, you actually had to go to seminars and,
have subscriptions,
learn to be, from people and
through the paywalls.
And just have real human action, interaction and learn it from the ground up because you weren't going to learn anywhere else. And and now there's so many other gyms like that not just CrossFit, but there is coaching at many places, even your Orange Theories have coaching and, obviously we do a crap ton of coaching here and the personal training thing is, exploded and gotten much bigger. And so it's down to me with a pro. Is that what it is, Kyle? That's where we're at here.
I think I might be out.
Are you?
I think that's, we covered all my pros. Yeah. For the most part.
I do appreciate the, early on, I felt like there was a nice push where it was a very, and not that it's not this now, but you were able to incorporate anybody into this. Hey, you could scale things up, you could scale things down, you can adjust it for if my mom wanted to do it, or some stud 22-year-old wanted to do it. We could adjust these things and still get that community piece that you were talking about, and you get good coaching with it and stuff like that. The negative here, and then we'll go into the negatives here. The negatives here is now once you start to scale this out and you have 10 people in a class, 15 people in a class. Okay. And some massive classes, there's some CrossFit gyms that are absolutely huge. They have 20 or 25 or 30 people in a class.
Yep.
And now you have all this variation. How do you coach this? And how do you keep people safe? And then
you don't.
And that's that's
the tough part. Yeah.
And that's where we run into problems. And some of the issue, and this is my first point on why we are no longer a CrossFit gym, is that some of the movements, I don't think there's that return on investment. Like if we want people to get stronger, we want the lower half to get stronger. Hey, we are going to squat. Well, what kind of squat is going to be most effective for people is different. When Sam coaches our great tennies and coaches my mother-in-law, they are kettlebell goblet squatting. Yeah. Or they've even started to mess with the transformer bar a little bit. Because it's padded and it's, it fits them okay. Not everybody likes that. So not everybody does it. But it's a small amount of class where he can differentiate and be like, hey, Linda, you're going to do this. Hey, Deb, you're going to do that. Hey, Maureen, you're going to do this. And it'd be good. As opposed to, again, when, hey, this is the standard and this is what we're doing. And everybody has to do this. This is the RX piece. And that's where the games comes into play, and, the CrossFit Open, and people have, hey, there's this workout and we didn't write it. CrossFit headquarters wrote it, and we're just going to have to do it. This is what it is. If you want to be RX, if you want to do scaled, you could do scaled. And sometimes people push themselves to the RX, which is fine. I'm fine with people pushing themselves. I think it's a great thing, pushing themselves. However, there's a line there,
very fine line,
where you can cross, and all of a sudden, like, we're not coaching Tom Brady. We're coaching Brady Tom, who works at Bank of America, and he's been sitting all day. And now all of a sudden he's trying to do wall walks that he's never done in his life.
And you have 20, 30 people in some of those classes trying to do them. So good luck, regressing.
And even if you do get good coaching and stuff with that, if we're doing a fill in the blank movement, there are just certain movements with it, like a barbell snatch. I have no interest in doing anymore. I don't want to do it with our people. I think there's too much risk with it. You lose the bar behind you.
Can I tell you my barbell snatch story?
Yeah.
So I did CrossFit for like 2-3 months when I was like 24-ish. I had just started going to the other gym, and I was like, I'll try it. Yeah. Everybody talks about it. Within the
24 is a good time to do it.
It was. I felt good for the first few weeks.
Of course, you've had some injury things too.
Yep. So I went in there, and they were doing 1 rep max snatches on a Saturday morning. And I had only been there for a month. I had maybe done snatches once or twice. So we're doing 1 rep maxes, and I get up to, I think, like 135.
Attaboy.
But it was like not like a pretty 130. And I wanted to be like, no, there's like minute 30 left on the clock. I don't want to do that again. And the coach walked by and was like, you got that? Put some more weight on it. And I'm like, okay, I'll put 5s on the side. Put 5s on the side, throw it up. As I go to catch it in my right shoulder. And I'm just like, that's why I don't do this. Yeah. And so that was it. It didn't last much longer in CrossFit after that. Yeah. But I am one of those people that went in and got hurt shortly after. There's a coach in the room telling me what to do, but like there's also 15 to 20 other people in there. Good luck coaching a snatch to 15, 20 people. Yeah. Well, and here, let's be clear. The barbell snatch is not a terrible movement. It can be a great movement. It can do a lot of great things. It can be used in athletic performance. Like I'm not opposed to like the hang power snatch, if you're, but it's something to build towards too. Yeah. The idea of having, young beginner athletes do this. And even if you're, I'm going to say somebody older, if you're in your 40s and you've never barbell snatched before, like, can you practice it? Yes. Can you work up to it? Yes. But do you know how long it's going to take you to work up to something that's actually going to make a physical change? It might help your shoulder mobility a little bit. I'm not against that. Like that is great. It might help, help drive hip extension and whatnot. You know what else helps drive hip extension? A kettlebell swing. Yeah. And that's a lot easier than trying to, snatch overhead.
And I think you can get a lot more bang for your buck with just your standard Russian swing.
Yeah. The amount of people that can do a snatch, like I can't.
Yeah, it's
like, it wouldn't look super great. Yeah. There's maybe one trainer in the gym that could do it very well. Yeah. You know, it's not an easy movement, and the return on your investment is not very big.
Yeah, and that's where if we look at, and this is why we've gone away from CrossFit, but we really like foundational movements. We really like, hey, we're going to squat. You know, we're going to hinge, we're going to press, we're going to pull, we're going to step, we're going to lunge. Like that's, and there we go. We don't quite need much else. Like we don't need fancy things. We don't need to balance on Bosu balls and like we're going to do the fundamentals, you know, insanely well. Which when you start to add a crap ton of variety into what you're doing, sometimes you lose that standard because you're doing too many things. Because I truly feel, and this is another point why we are not CrossFit anymore. But I really like the idea of progressions. I like and this is what we do with our kids, and our kids would get better. Yeah, and because they would focus. Hey, we would, you know, hey, we're squatting and pressing on day one. We're hinging and pulling on day two. We're coming back to a press and a horizontal push on day three, and we're going to do, you know, a violent hip extension, whether it be kettlebell swing or clean. On day 4, followed by, you know, a different type of pull, but horizontal pull or chin up versus pull up or something like that. But like we kept it simple. Some other movements in there too, but like you rinse and repeat and rinse and repeat and rinse and repeat. And you keep squatting, you get better at squatting. You keep pressing, you get better at pressing. You keep pulling, you get better at pulling. You know, you keep like and you just watch people improve and improve and improve and improve. And now all of a sudden, if Tori's able to back squat 50 pounds more than they were, like. Holy buckets. Yeah. Now they're feeling it. Now they're, oh my gosh, I'm getting stronger. Yeah. Okay. Oh my gosh, my back feels, you know, my hips feel good. Like, holy cow, I'm getting lower. I'm feeling, as opposed to, hey, we're going to try this movement. And I'm, you know, and it's, again, the risk and reward over that. So the idea of doing a snatch with the barbell, I don't mind a dumbbell snatch. I'm really kind of okay with that. I feel the same thing about a muscle up. Like a muscle up is a pull into a press. In essence, it's a vertical pull, which also is a pull up. However, most people, in order to get the depth that you need to on that horizontal pull, you have to kip. Which I'm not against kipping, but if you can't do a bunch of strict pull-ups really, really well, you have no business kipping.
Absolutely none.
And that's and we did this, Kyle. We did this. We had people kipping pull-ups and they couldn't do one regular pull-up.
Yeah,
and,
that's for.
And honestly, I feel like we had a couple little shoulder things, and we chalked it up. And this is how dumb we were. We chalked. Oh, that was bad luck. Oh, bummer. Oh, shucks.
How many people got sued doing that?
I don't know.
Hopefully, everybody signed their waivers.
And it was the thing where, like, you know, honestly, we did a pretty good job of keeping. And we've never been this massive, big, you know. On you know, on the CrossFit, you know, side of things, but if you can't do a strict pull up, you have no business trying to muscle up and trying to kip. So you work that strict pull up and work it and work eccentrics, you know, and mix grips. And like, and again, here's the low hanging fruit. You can work on a muscle up all day. I got muscle ups back in the day. And it was fun, but I didn't feel like there wasn't like a transformation in Adam that went on. It just all of a sudden I kind of figured out this party trick, and I was able to then do a muscle up, and I could then do a couple muscle ups, and but like once I got really good at pull ups, then I felt my lats, you know, like oh geez,
no, it's
like
more of a
I feel strong, you know. I could just
agree.
More of a
CrossFit is a sport. I wouldn't put my mom in that class for the same reason I put her on a basketball court. Yeah. It's a sport. There's a lot of skill that
she can't play basketball. She's not good at basketball.
I mean, I wouldn't try for it. But yeah, it's the intensity. Yeah. CrossFit is a sport. So why would you get off the same reason you wouldn't get off the couch and go play tackle football? Yeah. Same reason you wouldn't get up and go into a CrossFit class, hopefully.
So here's, you bring that up in the way of, I don't like racing fitness. And that's another reason why we are not CrossFit. I don't like that. Like one could argue, and there are fitness models that are out there doing this, time under tension is a more beneficial thing than less time under tension. So like, instead of like, hey, I'm going to fly through these reps as fast as I can, one can make the argument of, hey, if you're going to hammer a 4-second eccentric, hold a 4-second isometric at the bottom, and then fire up and do 3 or 4 or 5 of those reps, that you're going to get more bang for your buck in the way of, one, the movement, because you are going to grease this groove, this movement pattern beautifully. You're going to have complete control. It's probably going to be a pretty safe movement for you because you can't load it that heavy because it's so taxing.
Yes.
Right. That eccentric going, that slow motion going down, the hard pause at the bottom. Like you're not going to blow anything up because you're not going to put 405 on the bar. Like it's, so it turns into a very safe thing. Again, versus, hey, I'm going to load it up and go fast, where you start bouncing out of the bottom, of the squat. Which again, I like depth in squat. Bouncing out of the bottom doesn't make much sense to me. And you do that many times over. And we've had females in the gym who are mobile enough in which to do that. We've had less guys in the gym, but if you put, 315 on their back, they could probably bounce out of the bottom because they got an extra 300 pounds to help them. Which you can imagine the issues that we have with the knees and the backs and stuff like that. And it doesn't happen on that day.
Right.
But it's weeks on weeks, months on months, years on years of training like that. And then all of a sudden you're like, I had this back pain. It won't go away. And it's not killer back pain. It's you still squat. Oh, just belt. Pull a belt on.
I love that you mentioned isometrics too, because isometrics for me personally will eliminate pain out of my shoulders and my knees. So if I lock in a 90-degree eccentric workout, I wake up the next day and I'm like, oh my God, like where's this versus like if I'm just hammering weights out, there's no way to not feel that in your joints the next day. And isometrics are half my workouts right now. Honestly.
Insanely safe. Cal Dietz, godfather of triphasic training, which he's been at the University of Minnesota for the last 20 plus years, has written many books, super smart savant, we might say, when it comes to strength conditioning. When he runs his triphasic cycle, so he'll run a couple week cycle of eccentric work, followed by a couple week cycle of isometric work, followed by a couple week cycle of concentric work. That isometric block, because he'll do all the metrics on his athletes. He sees his kids, we'll say athletes, we'll say kids because they're in college, but like their blood pressure will lower. Because like and they'll load this because they're Division I athletes here, but they'll load up a back squat or a split squat, heavy, come down to the bottom, hold many spotters to keep everyone safe, hold, but they'll do a hard 7-second hold with more weight than either you or I can lift, and like you can barely breathe and you're locking up, but like it puts such a strain on the cardiovascular system that once you rack that, like, like everything like vascularly, you get stronger. Like cardiovascularly, your heart gets stronger. And so all of a sudden, these guys, hey, their pulse lowers. Blood pressure goes down after this couple week cycle. Like, what a healthy thing! Like most of the time, we just talk muscles and joints. Like all of a sudden, this heart piece. Which I just thought was very, very interesting. Like what a great movement.
I mean, when I saw you today, I walked in, I was like, my workout's been working for me today, or lately. So I'm just like, better mood. I've isometrics the last 2 or 3 weeks. For knees, it's still body weight. For shoulder, it's like a 7.5 pound dumbbell. I played 6 sets on Sunday, all around, jumping around. Muscles were sore, no knee or shoulder pain, and a 31-year-old that's had surgery on all of them. And just that's not like it for me. Just isometrics to do it, man.
I don't mind. In the way we're talking cardiovascularly, because so much of CrossFit is 3, 2, 1, go, and now we're racing the clock. And I don't hate that idea. However, we have taken out the clock out of most of our conditioning stuff and just said, hey, we're doing 3 rounds of these movements or 4 rounds of these movements or whatever it is. And people motor, but like, because we don't have the clock and because back in the day it was, 3, 2, 1, go, Kyle versus Adam. Who's going to win? Let's see what goes on here. Oh, Kyle takes the lead. He's out in front. He's better at those,
Who's ever willing to hurt
clean
themselves
jerks.
more.
Hey, and I'm going to suffer. and that's fine. However, you take off that clock and we just find people, they still push themselves. They still work hard, but they're in control. They're in control. It's not the, you ever drive your car a little bit too fast around the, you're going 55 down the highway and then all of a sudden you go, it's 35 on the curve and I'll just slow down to 45 and you're like, whoa.
Yes.
And you start to lose it off the, well, dummy, it said 35. Okay. Yeah. You probably should have gone down to 35. When we have people back off to the speed that they need to go, now they don't have that comparison thing. And that comparison thing,
that's a real thing.
That's a real thing. Yeah. And some people, we've had people in the past who are uber competitive and it's like, hey, Kyle, Adam, let's go. And we're both into it. Yeah, bro.
You're not going to beat me, dude.
Exactly. Yeah. And I'm competitive like that. In talking to people over the last, now we're almost to 13 years, that was a huge turnoff for them. Why does fitness need to be competitive? Pickleball, that can be competitive. Like go play your pickleball, have some fun with that. No problem. You're saying volleyball.
Yeah. Very competitive.
Have some fun with that. Yay, rah. It's funny. I see people, friends of mine on Facebook, pointing their whatever little 6-on-6, winter season of volleyball has wrapped up. Play that hard, have some fun, But like when you're training for these things, like it doesn't, we don't have to race training every day. Usain Bolt wasn't sprinting 100 meters every single day. Yeah. Like that was like, he did training and he did, fly 10s and block 10s and then fly 15s and then block 15s and then slowly, and strength training complemented that. And then eventually worked up to, where he would peak at the right time. And there was some natural ability there. Don't get me wrong there. Like I'm not just saying, but like, it wasn't like every single day he's coming to the track to, go all out because it stresses you out, burns you out.
That was one of my cons was intensity.
Yeah. And often that can lead to injury.
Yes.
Yeah.
Usually does.
Yeah.
Did for me.
Yeah.
Honestly.
Well, and that's the thing. When we started, we were a younger gym because, Heather and I were 32 at the time. 45 now. And, when we were younger and then we were getting people younger in, it was a little different. And so this is where I definitely don't hate CrossFit. If you're a 20 something and you're healthy and you want to try something like this, it scratches the itch of like, hey, I'm kind of competitive and it's
better than not working out.
Yes.
At the end of the day.
Yeah. But what bothers the bejesus out of me, and we've had this in years past, we do a workout like Murph. Like I like Murph, not from the workout standpoint, but I like what it represents. Yeah. I like that we're paying, homage to, a great U.S. soldier. Like, I think that is fantastic. On, Memorial Day where we're remembering these guys. I think that's fantastic, but I can't tell you how many people we've had try to come into the gym or they have come into the gym and they do the crummiest push-ups you've ever seen in your life. Yeah. That they're not even push-ups. They're like a slight elbow bend. And then their squats are like quarter squats. Yeah. Just to get through it because you're doing so many. And you're just doing so like
just going through the motions.
You're just going through the motions.
Just to reach a number. That was the problem when I went in the class, especially like when you would have like a lift and then into a run and it's all timed. Yeah. Let's say you can get 3 or 4 really good reps. That last rep, when you're trying to push it out, is garbage. And in a real good setting, you wouldn't do that last rep. But now it's timed and you just saw your buddy run out the door that's doing his lap and you got to catch him.
Yep. I don't want to put the barbell down. If I put it down,
I saw that.
We waste so much time.
My back hurt so many times in that class for reasons like that.
Yeah. I've always had a pretty decent grip. I have no idea why. So then deadlift wise, I'm popping out, deadlift reps, my back gets tired. That's the thing that gives. Yeah. Do I put the bar down? No. Good grip, Adam.
Low back's fine.
Until it's not. Yeah. And then I will get this small little disc thing. I broke my L5S1 in football sophomore year.
That's fun.
And that was a thing. I took an angle to block a linebacker, tripped over a defensive tackle's foot, and just stumbled. And then the running back cut the ball back and I caught a linebacker as he's, whatever. If our tight end would have made the block that he was supposed to, or running back would not have caught it back, but I caught him and literally got bent over backwards because I was not in good position, tripping, falling over. But if I keep my core strong, I feel pretty good. If I deadlift appropriately, I feel fantastic.
Yeah.
Mixing in more of the rotational stuff that we have in these past few years on both the adult side and the youth side with the Proteus and now the flywheels and the hack twists. I freaking love
keeping
those.
your core tight when you're getting tired.
Yeah.
That's the first thing that goes. You're trying to take big breaths in. Good luck keeping your core tight when you're trying to do that.
And now we're deadlifting and I get that same little pain in the back.
It's a skill, man.
And
really
it's rough. And again, the return on investment. Can I get my heart rate up? Can I breathe that heavy? Because there's that breathing heavy where you're like, Jesus is coming. Like he's coming. He's so close right now. You can also get that on an echo bike and make your life awful on a rower, on a ski erg. If you're a runner, like if that fits you, if you feel like you have, and this is where I get frustrated as a former track and cross country coach, like if you don't know how to run, if nobody's taught you how to run, if you can't midfoot strike and keep good posture and stuff like that, because most people run just absolutely god awful. Yeah. And then their knees hurt or their back hurts or their shins hurt or fill in the blank hurts.
Yeah. We're talking about people not being able to run. Yeah. And then they're also going into CrossFit classes.
Yes. And now we're going to go do Murph with 100 pull-ups and 200 push-ups and 300 squats and with a mile run on the front and a mile run on the back and can't do any of those things. Now, here's the thing, Kyle, I don't hate any of that workout. I think that's great. And I'm fine with people even scaling it. But if you're going to scale it, in my humble opinion, you need to complete whatever you choose to do with absolutely perfect form. And if you can't, you need to stop. Yeah. Rest, recover, and then fix it.
Who are you doing that for?
Who are you doing it for? Yeah. How is a crappy push-up going to help you? How is a quarter squat going to help you?
No, it's not.
I guess you did it. You did it on a day. You were sweating. It's typically hot. You got outside.
Probably feel real good for about a half hour after. Yeah.
Feeling great.
Get some endorphins going and then you'll regret it.
Yeah. Go eat whatever you want on the day because you just sweated for, 40, 50, 60 minutes and, ta-da. But gosh, the thing that gets me crazy with that air squat, because it's 300 air squats and you can wear a vest, whatever. But like when you air squat and you don't have like a weight in the back or the front, you get the hunched over thing. People do weird things with their arms coming forward. Like this isn't even a squat. It looks like a dog pooping in the woods. Now, if you do a great air squat, your feet are great, your knees are great, chest is upright, boom, boom, boom. You knock out great. I have no issue with that. Air squat it up. That's a great movement. Yeah, I
agree.
That and
for the average person,
that will burn. Movement. That will burn your legs. I don't care how big and strong you are. Like holy cow! Like that is the thing. But to do it just to say that, hey, I'm wearing the Murph T-shirt now. Again, not saying you can do it, guys. If you're, I don't mean to hate on CrossFit, because again, if not for CrossFit, we would not be sitting in this room right now. Yep. However, the execution of a lot of these, hero WODs and CrossFit WODs, like I don't think it does what people want it to do. Yeah. And I think people I think they get confused on what they think they want versus what they want and what they need. What they want is what they want to feel great after that workout. They want to feel the endorphins go and, oh my gosh, I worked out so hard. I can't believe I did it. And I didn't think I could do it, but I did it. And But in essence, what they want is that they want to not have pain. Yeah. They want to put on some muscle, they want their blood work to get better. Yeah. They want to be able to play with their kids, and do all the things. And everything that we just described within the CrossFit thing, in my humble opinion, and yours too, it doesn't get you there.
No, it really doesn't.
So that was me complaining. Kyle, what do you got? Sorry.
No, I get it. And I think the personal, part of the personal training part of it, that's the, where am I going here with this? So there's no specific towards you. There's so many times where I go into the gym where if I had to do what was on that board, you can get lost. Yeah. My body does not I'm to the point now where I've been doing it for 10 years. Yeah. I can tell what my body needs and what it doesn't need. Yep. If I just show up to a gym and do that, I'm like, no, actually my body is telling me I need something else. Yep. Just because you're telling me to do that workout on the board, I know it's not good for me. Yeah. Yeah. Well, I think it's interesting. If you look at, again, we talked about the CrossFit Games earlier, and you have the best of the best who come out and they compete, and they compete hard. I've been to the games many times when it was up in Madison, now being down in Texas. I'm not going to Texas. Yep. But again, great environment, fantastic environment,
fun. Like there are people out there. They're all, and here's the thing. I don't want to get lost on people. People need to work out. Yep. They need to do something. So I don't want to like hate on something to the point where like, well, Adam said don't do CrossFit, so I'm not going to do anything. Like, no, because there are too many haters on too many stupid things that just hate for no whatever. Should have said this at the beginning of the podcast. Because I know when we stopped doing CrossFit, we lost people here, and they didn't leave because they didn't know we stopped being an affiliate, because we stopped being an affiliate on July 31st. And then once the Open came, the CrossFit Open of March that following year, and we did not participate in the Open because we couldn't, because we were no longer an affiliate. We kind of did our own thing and stuff like that. But a month after that, we lost some people, and these are good people. They are good friends. I'm still friends with them. I have no ill will. Yeah. Zero ill will. They are good people. They found another place to do, because they really wanted to scratch that CrossFit itch. No issue with that. Yeah. No issue with that. If that's what you want, if that's great. I am happy for you. Yep. We will shake hands and hugs next time we see each other. I will like your Facebook post. Yep. However, not my belief in where I think is going to be the most effective and efficient training for the majority of the people that come through this door. It's definitely not an ego thing, because like we could have just stayed with it. It would have been easier to stay with it. Right. I don't want to lose people from this gym. It does not make me happy. It does not affect it. It does not help our bottom line.
You also don't like seeing people coming in there and not having any progress.
Yes.
Or getting hurt.
Yes. Well, and that's another. So sorry, to that point, when people are training, when Rich Froning is training for the CrossFit Games, what he's not doing is just a bunch of random crap every day. Yeah. Oh, we'll try this and we'll try this and we'll try this and we'll try this. And that's where I've seen a lot of programming happen. That's how we programmed back in the day. It's like, oh, we haven't done wall balls in a while. Let's throw that in there. Yeah. Why? Oh, to mix it up. Yeah. That's a crappy reason to why we're going to do something. We're going to mix it up. Like your high level guys and gals will program, especially their weaknesses. They will really, really focus on the things that they are weak with. Yeah. They will look at their programming, the microcycles, the mesocycles, the big picture. They'll make sure that they're balanced with what they're doing. So the stressor is not too much, because they need to recover and they need to get better. They just can't beat the crap out of themselves every single day.
And also, isn't it, you would know better than I do, but when you show up to the games, you don't know what you're doing. Correct. Right? So you do have to be good at a little bit of everything.
Yes.
And that's a good overall thing, but that's mainly for the sport.
Yes.
Why they're doing all those weird things.
Yes. Yes. And a lot of the workouts have been very, very solid. Some of them I think are a little goofy. I feel so bad for that whole drowning thing last year at the games. Are you familiar?
I feel like vaguely.
So they had an event in which they ran. I forgot how long they ran. Was it a 5K, 3 miles, something like that? And then they jumped in a pond, lake, and they did a swim. Forgot how long the swim is. 600 meters, something like that. 800 meters. Don't remember. Somebody fact checked me there with something like that. But kind of like a biathlon, duathlon, which I've done races like that before, but never where you end with the swim, always where you start with the swim. And basically the thought behind this is, let's not get people extremely tired and then throw them in water. And sadly, a guy, drowned and died. And it's like that, that just absolutely sucks. And it's just, I feel terrible. And that is brutal. I think that's a dumb workout. Like from doing triathlons for 12 years, like that is a dumb workout, especially because there's certain, I've seen races get rid of the swim on a day because the water temperature is too warm. Yeah. Or we'll have like a no wetsuit rule because you get your wetsuit on and like, guys, it's 79, no wetsuits. Like, son of a gun. I want to wear, and you're not as fast without the wetsuit, you're not as buoyant and and not that they were using wetsuits, but it just, that whole thing sucks. It's really, really unfortunate. But like, if you're going to train again, at that level, you're just not going to just beat the tar out of yourself every single day. You're gonna do things with tempo. You're gonna work in eccentric and isometric work. You're gonna do some like every minute on the minute stuff, which I know is stuff that CrossFit often does. And I do think the programming now in 2025 is better than what
I would hope so.
Most CrossFit stuff was doing 10, 15 years ago. It's just, again, going back to some of those movements that we both hate.
Yeah, no,
and not hate, they're not bad movements.
No. And I think the thing that drives me nuts too is a lot of people that go to these classes, they think just because a workout is hard, it's a good workout.
Yeah.
They look, oh, that one's going to kill me. It's like, well, that may not be good, actually, especially when you do it months on end, years on end. You're like, something's going to happen at some point.
So I have finally, Kyle, because I'm getting older, Kyle. I don't think it, but then I look in the mirror like, guy's older than I used to remember him to be. This little Aura ring, there's a resilience score it gives you. In the morning. So like after you sleep, hey, where you are, and like it takes into account how you slept, REM sleep, deep sleep. It takes into account O2 saturation. It takes into account HRV. Takes into account your pulse. Does not do blood pressure or anything like that, but like it takes all these things into account and gives you a resilience score. And it's funny. It is insanely. I finally have like done it and then like reflected on how I feel. Yeah. And when I get sick, like it is in the pooper. Yeah. It is, and I will, if I hit a hard, block of training, I'll see it start to come down. And younger Adam would have been just like, we just train. This is what we do.
Whatever.
We're going to do it. Da, da, da. And I'm now to the point where like, okay, pump the brakes, Adam. Hey, we're going to take a rest day tomorrow. Hey, we're not going to do anything. And, and then I feel so much better. Yeah. And and before I would feel guilty about missing a workout, not training, kind of like I give our members crap. I give our athletes crap. Oh, you skipped? What the heck are you doing? Geez, Yep. So I don't know. Kyle, final thoughts. Anything we missed?
No, I mean, we definitely had a lot more cons than pros, but I didn't even have to go through my list. I feel like we naturally kind of hit them. Yeah. A hard workout doesn't equal a good workout. Be safe. Yeah. Yeah. And I really don't see here. Final thought. I don't see anything. And this is, I went to the CrossFit endurance seminar back in the day. Run by Nicholas Romanoff, who is the founder of Pose Method. And I really like so much of the stuff that goes with Pose. I know some people would argue with some of the sprint stuff, whatever. I think it's 99% of it I really, really like. And in reading Brian McKenzie's book about running, his argument is running is a skill, no different than shooting a basketball, throwing a baseball. You have to practice this skill. And most people don't. Most people just go out and they run. And they don't think about how their body is striking the ground. They don't think about how their arms are moving. They just do it. And I know this because I watch cross-country coaches coaching never talk anything about form. They just yelled times and wrote stuff down, and like yelled at kids. Keep running.
They were like a combination cheerleader / secretary. Like cool, kind of combined. But then if you turn that into the lifting thing the same way. Hey, I'm just moving weight. I'm just moving weight, whether it be, squatting this or squat, snatching this or benching this or whatever. And just like going through the motions and not being cognizant of how you're moving.
The amount of times I got to tell kids that out there. Yeah. I'm like, do you want to waste your time while you're here? Yeah. I was like, you're doing you have no intention. You are just throwing the ball at the wall so you get 4 throws.
Yes. Yes.
Like that. I was like, you'd be better off just walking somewhere, honestly.
Yes. A simple rotational med ball swing, med ball throw. Yeah. You're just trying to throw that thing as hard as possible.
I see I'm like, you have no idea what you're doing. You're not even holding the ball correctly. Like you're waiting to leave and we have to change this.
Yes. Yes. Well, and it doesn't change anything with, with adults. And if you're not focused on, what you're doing, you're going to have issues. Yep. So friends of CrossFit, no hate. No. Former members, we love you. I hope you're doing fantastic. But these are all the reasons why we are no longer CrossFit Roscoe.
Hurt too many people, man.
I know. Well, I hate to say, we were actually really, really good. Like from a health wise, like there were, goofy things. I do remember Kara missed a box jump off a wood box and dang near severed her, like, what's the tibia muscle called? Is that a tibia muscle?
Yeah, the
tibialis. Okay. Yeah. That's what it is. Yeah. Sorry, guys. It's been a long day. But like, holy crap. Like that is how scary a thing that is right there. She's an athlete. Yeah. Holy cow.
Probably going for time.
Absolutely. She's racing her husband that's behind her. Yeah. And, and let's be clear. They were a little competitive. And
I don't know if I've seen a kid miss a box jump here in the last year and a half.
Yeah. Yeah.
We also don't race them.
And we got all the padded box jumps too. Which, our boxes too, to be safe for that. But even, squatting, I think since we've been here, we've had 2 people fail a lift squatting, and both of them, they were not focused in what they were doing. And because we emphasize it, you don't get anything out of missing a lift. If you get pinned under a barbell, holy cow.
Yeah.
There's not much worse.
I've been there before. It's not fun.
Okay. Kyle, we said 25 minutes and we blew that out of the water. So
good job, buddy.
44 minutes later, here we are. Awesome. Kyle, thanks for joining us. I appreciate you.
No problem, buddy.
Listeners, thanks for listening. We'll catch you on the next one.
That's all we have for you today. If you have any questions or want to chat or interested in seeing what we're up to in between episodes, head over to Instagram and Facebook and follow @OakStrength. Also check us out at oakstrength.com. If you like this episode, please share it with someone who wants to live happy, healthy, and strong. If you really liked it, subscribe and review the Happy, Healthy, Strong podcast on iTunes or Spotify. Be sure to tune back in next week and remember to keep owning your health.